Hello and welcome to this first lesson in learning Pro Tools for Library at the Dock. Before we start the lesson, there's a few things that you're going to need. You will have needed to have downloaded this zip file, which is supplied next to this video. And this contains some audio files that we're going to work with in the lesson. You also need to have downloaded Pro Tools and have that installed on your computer. For this lesson, I'm going to be using Pro Tools First, which is a free version of Pro Tools that you can download. If you just Google Pro Tools First, you'll be able to download a free version of Pro Tools and have that installed on your computer. If you've got a better version of Pro Tools than that, it'll look the same and it'll function the same, so you'll be able to still follow along with the lesson. Pro Tools First is a little bit tricky to install. You need to create an account, you need to be connected to the internet. There's a few things that you need to do, and you should know that Avid doesn't provide customer support for Pro Tools First, as it's a free piece of software. So if you get stuck, unfortunately, you're going to be having to resort to going to forums and trying to figure out what problems are. But if you can get it to install and you've got that installed on your computer and you can get Pro Tools opening and you have a zip file, then you should be ready to go. One more thing that I would highly recommend for these lessons is to plug a mouse into your computer and not use a trackpad. Pro Tools is far easier to use with a mouse with a scroll wheel. And I'll be teaching you how to use the scroll wheel to navigate around Pro Tools and to zoom in and zoom out. Scrolling is by far the best way to use Pro Tools, and I recommend plugging in a mouse for these lessons. So once you've got a mouse and the zip file and you have Pro Tools installed, then we're ready to go. So open up Pro Tools and you'll be greeted by this dashboard screen. And this will give you a few options. You can either create a Pro Tools session from a template, or you can create a blank Pro Tools session. Now I'm just going to create a blank Pro Tools session. Let's call it Workshop 1 and click Create. Now you should be into Pro Tools. You can resize any of the windows by hovering your mouse over the edge of the window, and so it turns into these little arrows. So I'm going to actually hover over to the corner of this and drag this a little bit bigger. This window over here is actually the mix window. I'm just going to close this for now. Let's close the mix window and let's just resize this edit window so that it's full screen. You've got your transport here. I'm going to just drag the transport around. You can drag any of the windows about. Now this first lesson is primarily dedicated to giving you a tour and an overview of the different features of Pro Tools. Next lessons we'll get into some audio editing and some more fun stuff. But for now, I want to talk you through a few things that are critical in running Pro Tools well. First of all, if you go up to your options up here and go to Setup, Playback Engine at the top. Now, this is where your sound is from Pro Tools is going to go. So if you have a sound card plugged in, and if you really want to use Pro Tools well, you should have a dedicated USB sound card, which will be able to take your audio and output that and enable you to plug in some good speakers or a good pair of headphones. And it'll also probably give you inputs so that you can record into Pro Tools as well. So this playback engine will tell you where your sound is going. Now, at the moment, we've got Pro Tools aggregate input and output, and that is basically just going to use your computer's system audio. And that's fine for now. But if you have another USB sound card, you'll be able to select that here. Optimizing your engine for recording or playback is depending on what you're using Pro Tools for. If you're using Pro Tools primarily for recording, recording voiceover, recording for a band, then you want to switch that to record because it'll perform much better. But if you're editing a podcast, then you can switch that to playback and it'll perform better as a editing machine. So click OK. Now, in order to show you some different aspects of this edit window, I'm going to get you to import some audio and to make a few new tracks. So let's import some audio first. We'll go File, Import. And then if you navigate to your Pro Tools Workshop zip file folder that you downloaded and unzipped,